And welcome back to the program, Devils Rink Report, with yours truly, James Nichols, beat reporter via New Jersey Hockey Now, which, by the way, we have made a little bit of a change. We're on the Sportsnaut network now. Still New Jersey Hockey Now, still James Nichols, still your Devils beat reporter, but we have just made we have a new engine, if you will. So go check out Sportsnaut, check out the New Jersey Devils tab in Sportsnaut. That's still me, still New Jersey Hockey Now branding, still bringing you the same great coverage, just a new engine that revs it. I think it's a cleaner look, really enjoying what we got going on over there. So excited to bring it to you. But normally we bring in our guests a few minutes later, but today's a big one. Today, we have my good friend Jeff Marek here, and let me explain something to you. And this is going to be something that Marek loves to talk about because he knows all about the WWE, right? And listen, Jeff, for me, John Cena's doing this tour right now where he's saying goodbye to everybody in every city. Yeah. When your time comes that you decide that you're going to step away from the microphone, you have to go on every hockey podcast there is and just say goodbye because to me, you're my GOAT.
Oh, geez. Well, aim higher. Thanks for having me on, James. But here's the thing, though. Like, there's an element of, like, Hotel California to all this. You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. Like, I can't really see a day where I'm not popping on. I'll just have more time to do everybody's podcast. There's going to come a time in my life, the industry kicks everybody out. But as long as people want to hear my nonsense, like I'm happy to go on, every single podcast there. Eventually, I'm just going to become senile and talk about, old Jacques Plante stories and won't be able to keep up to the modern and current product. But, until then, I'll just keep doing every pod, telling the same stories over and over again. It's like, okay, Grandpa Marek needs to take his medication and make sure he gets to bed on time. But I can't see a day, like even when I retire. Like, honestly, my wife said to me the other day, a while ago, she's like, I figured out what you do for a living. I said, what's that? She said, you don't actually do anything. All you do is you talk about things that other people do. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like, I don't do anything. So, like, it's not like any of the work that I do is hard, James. So I'm happy to hop on podcasts whenever.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah, it's like Bobby Margaritas, right? That guy's retired, but is he really?
Well, do you ever really, like, listen, do you ever really retire?
Not from this game.
No, like I'll tell you, like when I was working at Hockey Night in Canada, one of my favorite things was always getting a chance, even though he had retired years and years ago, to talk to Dick Irvin Jr. and hear great old stories about his dad coaching the Habs and the Maple Leafs and the Richard riots and hockey through the 60s and the 70s. Yeah. It's like one of the things that's great about there being so many podcasts right now is there's so many more venues for people to tell all the older stories. This is a day-to-day coverage, and you do a great job with the Devils, right? But there's like this whole sort of field of like hockey history that new fans are always in a process of discovering. And if I can be that guy one day that just on-ramps all of it, much like the Dick Irvin Juniors of the world, then it'll be a good career. Then I'll consider it a good career.
Yeah. Well, you certainly are. I mean, you're an encyclopedia of hockey knowledge. I'm a regular listener every day. So, and we're stoked to have you on. So
I have you fooled, James. I have you fooled. I thought you were smarter than that.
I know that we're talking about hockey history here, but we're gonna fast forward to the present. We want to, we want to be mindful of your time here and get you to where you got to get next because you're a busy man. But I want to start with Simon Nemec. Obviously, we saw that game the other night. He scores the hat trick, and look, that's great, right? The hat trick was great, but the thing for me was everything else about that game. Nemec was in a position not only to score and provide offense, but on the defense too. If you look at the numbers, he was out there for a lot of high danger chances against and prevented them from happening. Just, is this the player the Devils thought that they were getting when they drafted him second overall in 2022?
Yeah, they chose Nemec over Logan Cooley, and Logan Cooley, you can make the argument, right now is the best player in that draft. But I'll tell you what, I've always maintained that the hardest position to transition into the NHL outside of netminder, because you got to spend a lot of time in the minors before you make it to the NHL. That's awful. It's hard. But I will say this, like the transition from forward to the NHL is a lot easier than defenseman in the American League to the National Hockey League. It's bigger, it's faster. You have to be able to think quicker. It takes a long time until the game slows down around you. And we have this almost unreal expectation now, and we're seeing it again with Matthew Schaefer, who stepped in. He's the best defenseman for the Islanders, inside of 15 games. that things have to happen quickly, and if they don't happen quickly, then they're never going to happen. It takes a while. Like I don't make my mind up about defenseman James until 150 games in the NHL. Then you start to really get a snapshot of, okay, what is this guy about? Maybe you can make the argument 200 games. For goaltenders, it's 100 for me. For defensemen, it's somewhere between 150 to 200. So I think we're just probably scratching the surface here on how good Simon Nemec is going to be for the New Jersey Devils, or wherever else he may end up, depending on what moves come up in the not too distant future for the New Jersey Devils. But make no mistake about it, every team in the NHL paid attention to that Chicago game, 100%.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Is that, right now Nemitz is getting increased minutes, and you're wondering if that's contributing to the confidence, and he's working well at this point in his
Yeah.
role, in the increased role. So, but it
Mm-hmm.
begs the question now. You got to think about, in a few months down the line when Jonathan Kovacevic is supposed to return, and in the near future,
Yep.
Brett Pesci's going to come back, and Dougie Hamilton might be back in this road trip. I mean, what do they do when the logjam is, so full?
So this is where you go to, what is your organizational philosophy? Do you go with the short-term thinking of whoever's playing best is in the lineup, and I don't care if you're returning from injury, you have to wait? Or do you follow the philosophy, and this has kind of always been the philosophy in pro hockey, you don't let a player injure himself out of the lineup. Like if you're injured and then you come back, you go into the lineup. Maybe go to the American League on a rehab assignment, whatever, conditioning stint. But you go back into the lineup. Otherwise, it sends a really dangerous message throughout that locker room that if you get injured, you could lose your spot. Now, ultimately, you may just lose your spot anyway. But the idea of keeping someone out of the lineup as they're coming back from injury when they're ready, if you hold them back, it kind of sets up a dangerous precedent. I've always believed that. I don't know that I'm in the minority on that one, and so that may even mean Simon Nemec is playing great. Someone comes back in that spot. I think for the health of the team and the organization, that player has to go back into the lineup. Otherwise, you get into an even worse situation where players start hiding injuries because they don't want to lose a spot. Then you're in real trouble.
Yeah, for sure. That's an interesting thought too, is hiding the injuries. I haven't even occurred to me that might even be the case. But one of the
Yeah.
things that I think of too is you think about last season when the Devils had just acquired Kovacevic. That spot was very much supposed to go to Nemitz until Kovacevic took a hold of it. So it's ironic how it's worked out in reverse at this point.
It's weird, eh? Like there's no straight line. Like everything when it comes to development, it's not. We all know it's not a straight line. It's a bunny hop, right? It's like one step back, two steps forward, three steps backwards. Like that's just it. Like there's no one straight line to how you develop a hockey player. And complicating everything, as you all know, like Kovacevic and Siegenthaler became like outside of maybe Gavrikov and Mikey Anderson in LA, the best shutdown pair in
Yeah.
the NHL. What do? You're gonna break that up? Like no chance. Yeah, but I mean, think about it this way. As much as this may seem like a problem, like if you're a Devils fan watching this, listening to this right now, and you're like, oh man, they got a problem. Go have a look at the teams around the NHL that wish they had this problem. We have too many right shot defensemen. Just pause on
Right.
that for 1 second here. How many teams have ever said, oh, well, our problem is we have too many right shot D? I assure you, that has not been said very often, if ever, around the NHL. That is not a quote unquote problem. That's just a situation to work out. That's not a problem.
Yeah, it's a great problem to have, and it will be interesting to see how they do fill out this
Yeah.
situation as it develops. But I want to move over to the goal crease, and obviously Jacob Markstrom signed his 2-year extension, so he's here for the
Yeah.
next 2 seasons after this year. Look, he's 5-2-1. And you say, oh, that's not bad. Good for the stint that he's had so far. But wait a
Yeah.
minute, a 3.67 GAA, an 870 save percentage, -3.1 goals saved above expected. I mean, is it too soon for buyer's remorse here?
I don't think so when it comes to Jacob Markstrom. I mean, we've seen Listen, there used to be. I mean, this was kind of the hallmark of Markstrom's career. Like one year he'd be a Vezina Trophy candidate, and the next year he'd fall off the not really fall off the map, but he'd take a step back, and then he'd go back to being a Vezina Trophy. Like his career has kind of been these wild swings. But the thing about it is, when Markstrom's good, he's really good. Like he's one of the top goaltenders in the NHL. I don't think that there's a buyer's remorse there. You just hope that the timing works out, that he hits that hot stride when it's playoff time, and he can help ride you to something significant in the postseason. But I don't think that it's buyer's remorse. And just a quick thought. I mean, not to get too sidetracked on it. We can have this discussion another time. But save percentage is even save percentage is becoming outdated now. If you follow like Valaket's ClearSight analytics and how to evaluate goaltenders, I've always looked at GAA as a team stat though, as opposed to an individual goaltending stats. To me, that speaks more to team than the individual goalie. But anyhow, I don't think that the New Jersey Devils will be having buyer's remorse this early on signing that extension. Not for Markstrom.
So then at this point, when you look at Jake Allen and how well he's been, which side of the fence are you on here as to giving him more of a more starts for him?
Yeah, more. Like, let's not forget here, we're looking at 35 plus goaltenders, right? Like we're not looking at guys that are 27, 28 years old. We're looking at the 35-year-old set here, and Jake Allen can handle it. So as long as Jake Allen can handle it, I think the smartest thing to do with older netminders is split it. And that's just, a frank conversation that you have with Jacob Markstrom. Like, look, regular season is a regular season, but all of our eyes are on the playoffs, and we need both guys healthy and happy and ready to go. Allen will have zero problem with that. Allen's been great. And I don't think Jacob Markstrom. Put it this way. I don't think Jacob Markstrom will pull a Patrick Waugh and insist to play every minute of every single game, unless he's getting shelled 9-1 at the Forum in 1993.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Those two work well together too. They're very complimentary of each other on and off the ice. So I think you're absolutely right there. Just a few more for you here, and then we'll get you on your way.
Sure.
How much of a look have you had at Arseny Gritsyuk? Because everyone's buzzing about the new talent, the young guys in the league, and Gritsyuk's not your prototypical rookie. He's 24, had some pro experience overseas, but what are you seeing from him, if anything? And is this, the top line forward the Devils might have been looking for since they traded Tyler Toffoli?
Probably too early. I read your piece on him and really enjoyed it. Probably too early to definitively say, like, that's the guy who's playing on the top line with Jack Hughes here. I'm not ready to say that. I don't think Sheldon Keefe is ready to say that. I see a more complete player than other players in the quote unquote rookie class. I mean, it's a pleasant surprise. Like, we've had a lot of pleasant surprises with young players. I know he's not as flashy as Bedard and Celebrini and Demidov and some of the other younger players. I mentioned Matthew Schaefer, some of the other younger players around the NHL, but I think that is someone that is a really smart, productive, skilled top six forward. But I don't know that I'm willing to sort of put a crown on him yet. For that top line. But he does looks like the New Jersey Devils have really found something here.
Yeah, for sure. The thing I see with him is he does everything the right way. And if he doesn't do it the right way, Keefe lets him know. And on the very next shift, he's doing it the right way. And he's never making that mistake again, which has been so impressive to see for somebody of his age and, first year in the league. So I think he will develop to that. I think eventually he will be that top line guy. They're trying it now, and we'll see how long it lasts. But
it's always better when everything gets solved, like, and you don't have to spend any assets to plug a hole. Like, we got that guy. Oh yeah, we got that fix. Yeah, 100%. Absolutely.
And it's not like the depth is going to take a hit either. I mean, they have Nason, Palat, Connor Brown when he's back. I mean, all those guys can play, sufficient third line minutes. So, but one more here for you. I look at this team and, it looks good right now. I mean, top of the East, top of the Metro. But if they had to, and they're going to, we think, add and go on a run here in the playoffs, who's your ideal fit right now to be, I don't know, a plug anywhere on this team?
So there's a couple, and I'm going to go to Nashville for both. And there's two players that I think about that can really help here. The cap is the cap, right? Like I'm just doing if you can make the money work, have at it. Even though, as we just talked about, Gritsyuk is a real nice player and looks good in that top six role. If you're going to make noise for the Stanley Cup this year, and already the Devils have one of the teams that have distinguished themselves as being a contender, I would wonder about Philip Forsberg. I know everyone revolves around Steven Stamkos and what happens there, or maybe Jonathan Marchessault and what happens there with the Nashville Predators. I don't know that at this point in his career, Philip Forsberg wants to go through any kind of rebuild. So perhaps if that's the direction Nashville goes, I can see Philip Forsberg. And the other, I'll frame one very specific way. So I remember having a conversation with Bobby Holik when he played with, he was retired. He finished with Atlanta. And we're talking about his career and, winning, quite successful and winning Stanley Cups with the New Jersey Devils, and then signing that massive deal. Mike Gillis was the agent, that massive deal with the New York Rangers. And I remember asking him, I said, how come it worked out with New Jersey and you, and it didn't work out with the New York Rangers? And he said, Jeff, it's really simple. If Bobby Holik is your third line center, we're going to win the Stanley Cup. But if Bobby Holik is your first line center, we're not going to win the Stanley Cup. And I kind of get the same vibe about Ryan O'Reilly. If Ryan O'Reilly is your third line center, man, you might win the Stanley Cup. If Ryan O'Reilly is your first line center, you're not going to win the Stanley Cup. So those would be the two that I would circle. If I'm just playing sort of fantasy general manager, let's plug and play. What does Sheldon Keefe need here? Those would be the ones that I would circle here.
Jeff, thank you so much for your time. I'm so happy, by the way, that you didn't tell me, because I told you not to tell me if I was right when I said it. Is it Ryan O'Reilly?
But that was a clue.
Don't tell me.
But that was a clue, right? By not saying no. Like you texted me today. I'm like, oh, dude, that is so loaded. First of all, good for you for framing it the way that you did, because you knew you were going to get an answer one way or the other.
Oh, yeah.
Whether I responded how you wanted or not, you were still getting the answer that you wanted. So bravo. Very clever by you, James.
Thanks so much for joining us today. Jeff Marek, the host of The Sheet on the Daily Faceoff Network, and you can hear him on Hockey Lifers, which I think you have something going on today. So looking forward
Jerry
to
Hauser. Like as soon as we're done with our conversation, me and Gabby are talking to Jerry Hauser, who played Dave Killer Carlson in the movie Slapshot. That will be on the next Hockey Lifers podcast. So thanks for letting me
Jeff, appreciate your time, and we'll do this again.
We will, absolutely. Thanks, James. Pleasure to be on.
All right, that's Jeff Marek. There he goes. So thank you so much for coming on, and we will definitely be having Jeff again on the program. But let's move on here to just some things going on. So listen, the Devils have not hit the ice yet today. Obviously, I am not where they are. They're in Chicago still. They have not left Chicago yet, because I think it was just a programming thing with how they could get ice for a practice today before they play the Washington Capitals tomorrow. So right now, the Devils have not stepped on the ice for practice. I haven't been notified that they were not practicing today, so I will certainly keep you guys updated on whether or not they do practice, because I'm not sure why they haven't stepped on the ice yet today. I don't think it's like some sort of storyline that we're following here. I don't think anything is going on, but I am curious to know if they just got maybe the day off, if they are doing maybe a videotaping day or something like that. So we will see. But I just did want to take one moment here to recognize a loss this week, Larry Brooks. It was something I didn't expect. Obviously, I'm not in his inner circle. I've met him one or two times, more than one or two times, but I met him a handful of times in my career, just, in passing. He used to be the PR guy for the New Jersey Devils, and obviously he was recently a reporter for the New York Post, and, he unfortunately passed away yesterday morning, but he was a trailblazer. I mean, he's one of the reasons why I get to do what I do every day. He was the reason why a lot of us get to do what we do every day, and he was one of, if not the best out there. A lot have coined him as the best out there. So just want to take a moment to recognize Larry Brooks, his contribution to this industry, and being one of the reasons why we all get to do in this industry what we do every day, Jeff included, myself, anybody that works in hockey. So Larry Brooks was a great reporter. He was a trailblazer, and he will be missed. Okay, moving on. Let's start with talking about the other night in Chicago with the Gritsyuk line. I know Jeff and I just talked about, hey, he might not be the answer, right? Great audition, first game for Arseny Gritsyuk on the first line, but listen, it was a very impressive showing for a hot team, by the way, in the Chicago Blackhawks. They're playing real well. Connor Bedard is firing on all cylinders, and that team, look, they're coming together, right? Everyone said all Connor Bedard needed was some talent around him for this team to go well, and they're sure firing right now. But the top line at 5-on-5 of Gritsyuk, Hughes, and Mercer. I loved having Dawson Mercer up there because you get a little bit of that defensive responsibility. But Mercer's doing it all right now, right? He's on the penalty kill, he's on the power play, he's providing the offense. So it was a really good, complementary piece to two offensive players in Gritsyuk and Hughes. Which, by the way, Gritsyuk does all that stuff too, but you want his shot next to Jack Hughes, right? And it worked out real well. Now Mercer scores an even strength goal, assisted by Jack Hughes and Arseny Gritsyuk. So they've already connected for a goal here. But you love everything that they provided, right? 50 minutes at 5-on-5, 29-5 in Corsi for chances, and 85.29%, which is pretty elite. I mean, not pretty elite. It's very elite. It's one of the better lines, and again, just a small sample size, but one of the better lines that we've seen put together by Sheldon Keefe so far this year. You love to see that 8.89 expected goals for, 13-0 scoring chances for. I mean, let's talk about that for a minute. That means that every time that they were on the ice, the other team didn't have the puck, and that's the best defense, right? Is a good offense. You can't score if you don't have the puck. And well, we all know Jack Hughes is a puck possession machine, and Arseny Gritsyuk knows how to win those puck battles, and so does, by the way, Dawson Mercer. So it was really, really a refreshing line to see, and it's so funny too because we talk about this team like they're what 12-4-1. They're going real well, and as things are going real well, Sheldon Keefe still felt obligated to make a change, switch things up because he recognized, you know what, that Heischer line is a little bit stale. We got to get something new going in there. And he throws Jesper Bratt down on the second line. And oh, well, guess what? That line is now firing on all cylinders again. So about 12 minutes of 5-on-5 time on ice, and they were 12-9 in Corsi for percentage in the advantage, 57%. Up, not as good as the Gritsyuk, Hughes, and Mercer line, but still 0.64 expected goals for, and they had plenty of scoring chances going in their favor. So it was encouraging to see the top six going as well as it did. But again, we'll we'll see how long it sticks because the second Sheldon Keefe, in despite the success that the Devils are having, the second he doesn't like something, he's already contemplating, all right, what kind of switches do I have to make here? And real quick, Sean, if you could pull up the last comment from Kyle Dormus. He's talking about Paul Cotter here, who I do wonder what's going to happen next with Paul Cotter because he is trying very hard to get things going. I agree with you, Kyle. But it's a tough spot for him to get going on that fourth line, right? So look, tough break for Zach McEwen. We'll talk about that later. He's not going to be in the lineup for a little while. So Nathan Legare comes up, and you wonder, well, he's going to be in for McEwen. So what is it going to take for Cotter to get going? I don't think they have right now, while they're on the road, anyone to sit Cotter for. So he'll probably play tomorrow. But it might be time for him to just, get a look upstairs to just get an eagle eye view of how things are going on the ice, just so that he can, perhaps figure out, okay, here's where I'm going wrong. So we will see that. Another comment here from Devil's Joint. James won't pull up my comments. Hey, listen, the comment section is a little bit later. It was just a good point by Kyle, a timely point by Kyle. We're going to be doing some comments later. So if you have, by the way, any comments, questions, or anything you want read on the show, be sure to drop it in the chat, and we will get to that in a little bit. We're just going through some talking points here. But I did want to talk about real quick. And by the way, all marks to I know it was a joke, Devil's Joint. I'm just kidding. But all marks to my buddy Sean here for putting together some great notes. And he's talking about, he put in the notes here, and I read them over, and I agree with the point. The importance of a 3C here, and again, we're going to talk about Cody Glass and his injury later, but look, I mean, right now, Cody Glass isn't there, and we saw how difficult it was for the Devils to get um, something going on the third line without one. It was Mercer for a little bit, and that was great because he does well on the third line. But in the same breath, now you're taking away from the top six that's going so well with Jack Hughes, right? He's on the first line with him now, and he already scored a goal there. So you want to keep him there and keep that going, right? You want him to continue to get his reps on the wing. Him and Keefe both agree that he's a winger, not a center, but he's the best next option when Cody Glass goes down. So we talked a little bit with Jeff about, who's an ideal fit for this team. And he said Philip Forsberg as a winger. But I honestly, at this point, I look at the depth on the wing and I see Nason, Connor Brown, Andre Palat at $6 million. Look, I'm not hating that anymore as a depth player. Um, and we didn't even talk about Evgeny Dadonov before when he's injured. He's got to have to come back at some point too, right? So for me, the need is more at center, and you wonder about guys like Ryan O'Reilly, like Jeff mentioned. I keep banging the drum for a guy like Nazem Kadri because I look at how the Florida Panthers are built and how they won their championships back to back, and Sam Bennett was a huge part of that. And look, those two are cut from the same cloth, so you do wonder if Kadri is a contract that's digestible enough, and I think it is, right? You're looking at a 30-goal scorer who can be your 3C or play up in the lineup when, Jack Hughes maybe needs to shift to the wing and you need a little bit, of a loaded line, right? I think that that's something that they could look at, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, the bottom six, when Glass and McEwen were in, they looked real good. It's just these injuries that are making things tough for them to keep that momentum going. So we'll see what happens there. But I did like what I saw from McEwen and Glass. It's just, unfortunately, they're going to be hurt again. So it's good news, though, that McEwen didn't go on. I'm sorry, McEwen went on the injured reserve and not Cody Glass. We'll see what's up with Cody Glass soon. All right, I want to talk about Simon Nemec. We talked about it with Jeff, but I want to talk about it with you guys here. I mean, can we talk about how good of a player he's been for this team? I mean, he played upwards of 20 something minutes the other night, scores the hat trick. But the thing that I like the most is, yeah, the goals are great, but he's also not a liability on the ice anymore. I mean, in that game at least, and he's showing improvement. He's showing great improvement in all those areas. 26 minutes, just behind, 20 seconds behind Luke Hughes, who has also been really strong. We could talk about that too. But 5 shots on goal, 3 goals, obviously scores the hat trick. And again, what you like most is that he is on the ice against some of the opposition's top players, and he's not faltering. He's making sure that those high danger chances are actually becoming perimeter chances. He's keeping opponents to the perimeter. He's making sure that these chances are going the other way. I've really liked what I've seen with him winning his puck battles, recovering the puck, and skating it out of the zone. And his first passes look pretty good too. So it's been really, really good to see for his development. I think the more minutes is contributing to it too. This is a player that you can tell that confidence is a huge key in his game because the more he plays, the better he is. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Devils do when a Kovacevic comes back, when a Brett Pesce comes back. I mean, when Pesce comes back, it's going to be him, Dylan, and Nemec on the right side. That's going to be great. I think Dougie Hamilton will be back sooner than Pesce, though. So that's when you have to make a decision and figure out, all right, what are we going to do here with this right side? You already have Luke playing on his offhand, and you don't want Nemec to move out of position because of how well he's going. So it's real interesting, guys. I mean, again, I keep saying how ironic it is that Kovacevic took the spot from Nemec last season because of how good he played, and now you're seeing the same thing happen in reverse. So, and Jeff made a great point. Like now, this is the kind of situation where players might start hiding injuries because they don't want to see their spot get taken. So we'll see how it develops, but he was the only right-handed defenseman full time on the roster the other night, and he's playing on the kill, operating as the second unit power play quarterback. He's getting thrown into the fire by giving the responsibility of almost like a number one defenseman at 21 years old, but he's just been so consistent. He is, by the way, an RFA. So we will see how that works out for him. But Sean, pull that Husky comment up real quick. Should put Nemitz on power play one over Hughes, in my opinion. Um, yeah, I mean, listen, it's not going well. I shouldn't say it's not going well with Luke Hughes. I mean, he's been given so much responsibility on his offside, just a position he doesn't naturally play. Um, I don't see why not giving Nemitz at least a shot, right? And look, these things don't have to be exclusive. Like now, Nemitz is power play one, right? Try it for a shift. See if there's anything that sparks that power play. Not to say that they aren't going well. They're doing pretty okay. They definitely miss Hamilton's shot, but if you give him an opportunity just to shake things up a little bit, provide a little bit of a spark, you put out a guy who's uber confident, just oozing with that confidence. Yeah, I think it could work out pretty well. So I say give him a shot. It doesn't have to be for the whole game. Could be, alternating shifts, alternating power plays, if you will. But see what you have in him on the power play. It's going pretty good for power play too. It's going pretty good for him at 5-5, and that confidence just keeps building. So we will see if, perhaps Sheldon Keefe does decide, yeah, let's elevate this guy a little bit. All right, moving down a little bit. Happy birthday, Brendan Dillon. Here's a $5,000 fine. I mean, listen, all jokes aside, look, when I saw the hit, the first thing I thought was, yeah, he got the elbow up. You take a closer look at it, and, Tyler Bertuzzi was hunched over, looking for that puck, but you have to recognize that kind of thing. And look, nothing against Brendan Dillon. He's always been a physical player. This isn't the first time he's been hit with some sort of punishment from the player safety about his physicality. He's just got to be a little bit more careful. He got away with a slap on the wrist, which is the fine, right? In the past, he's been, suspended a few games for other hits that he's thrown. So we will see if he can maintain the cleanliness that he's had with the Devils so far. But look, you don't want him, and he's not going to. He continued to be physical after that, right? And you love to see that. No discouragement from doing what he does best, being physical. And look, we talked about this last episode. Brendan Dillon has just been he's been a pillar for this team this season. Like if you need to lean on him, they're leaning on him, and he's saying no problem, get on. So Dylan's been great. You don't love the fine, but hopefully he just learns from it and moves on. Um, all right, Cody Glass living up to his name. So we talked about it a little bit, but unfortunately, yeah, the injury bug has bitten him a bunch. I think it's good news he hasn't gone on injured reserve yet. We'll see what happens with him there. But, he awkwardly falls into the boards in the first period. You're hoping that it was just maybe he got dinged up, right? He tried to come back out for the second. It didn't work out. He took a shift. He realized I can't even lift my arms. Do we revert back to Dawson Mercer? I don't think so. You might have to go Glendenning Lamico for third and fourth line. But this is why I said perhaps the Devils don't need a top six forward anymore. Perhaps the more pressing issue is that they need a third line center. Look, you're happy with Cody Glass on the fourth line. Not to say that he can't play up on the third line. I think he can. But if you're going to be a team that wins a championship, just like Jeff said, if you're going to have Ryan O'Reilly, for instance, as your third line center, you're going to win a championship, or you're going to get close. So, that's a much more viable third line option to me. Not to say that, Cody Glass isn't a viable third line option, but you're talking about a 2C who's going to play down in a 3C role. So it will be interesting. Kyle Duremus says, go get Blake Coleman now. Look, that's another interesting option. I know that's been mentioned a lot. We talked about it with Dave Pignota on the first week. He said that that's probably an option for the Devils. Now it's been brought to light that they're actually interested in bringing him back. So I do like that as an option. He does play all three positions. He plays left wing, he plays center, he plays right wing. That is something that makes you very versatile. That's something that he's got 2 years left on his contract. Are you paying a Simon Nemec for Blake Coleman? No, that's not happening. Are you paying maybe a Seamus Casey for a Blake Coleman? Perhaps. I don't know that I love that idea, but it might be the ask, right? I don't know that you could just get Blake Coleman at 2 years left on his deal for just a draft pick. He's only 2 seasons removed from a 30-goal year, and he can easily say, I didn't score 30 goals last season just because of how many parts left the Calgary Flames. And, we're on a downward trend here. But Blake Coleman, I think, is a pretty good option for this team. He does certainly provide what the Devils would need in a depth role. So I do like that idea. So we'll see what happens there. But certainly above anything else for me, I think the in order of need for the Devils, I think it's a 3C. And then I think it might be a defensive defenseman in depth purposes. I want to look into Troy Stetcher a little bit. I want to look into his numbers to see if he's worth a waiver claim. Because when I look at the Devils and I see, okay, they have all of these NHL ready pieces to plug into the lineup in injuries, I'm like, well, Seamus Casey's is an offensive defenseman. Dennis Cholowski is an offensive defenseman. On the right side, the only player they have to play actual defense is Simon Nemec, who is also a two-way defenseman. So without, you know, Pesci, it thins out. And I think that there needs to be another depth option, and that's why they brought Colton White up. I think there needs to be another depth option that will provide you more defense than anything, because this team doesn't need offensive defensemen anymore. Luke Hughes is doing it enough. Simone Nemec is now providing. When Dougie Hamilton comes back, he's going to provide the offense. So you don't necessarily need another offensive defenseman, and that's not me saying let's get rid of Seamus Casey right now. I think you hold on to him until you can get something in return for him of equal or better value. I don't know that, you always win a trade like that, but he's got value to get you something or net you something of equal value in return. And you just might need that at a different position or the same position, just a different kind of player. So, we'll see what happens there. But above all else, I'm going to say it again, double down on I think 3C is the number one need on this team. Then it is a defensive defenseman and a top six forward. We will see how that works out there. Zach McEwen, we talked about it a little bit. Let's dive deeper into it a little bit now. He suffered a lower body injury. He took that hit on the boards, and then he fell a little bit later in that shift. He seemed okay. He looked a little shaken up after the hit, but then it was when he fell on that same shift that I realized after he got up, he was limping a lot more and trying to get off the ice and to the locker room. I don't know. We don't know the exact injury. They don't disclose those things anymore. We know it's lower body. But I mean, McEwen has been so good for the Devils in 2 games. It's been 2 games. This guy can't catch a break. I mean, he played 9 minutes, 14-4 in Corsi for percentage. 77.78% on the ice. I mean, you love to see that. 0.55 expected goals for. I mean, for the fourth line, that's the kind of player that you love to see playing in those depth minutes. 5 scoring chances while holding the opposition to 3 high danger chances. I mean, you need depth to win, and he's the perfect kind of depth player. He just can't stay healthy for some reason. I don't know if that was his history. I don't think it was. I think he was always just a fringe NHLer. But now that we've seen him, and again, a small sample, I do wonder, where the values are for these GMs when they make these trades, because we sent rather the Devils sent Curtis McDermott to the Ottawa Senators in exchange for him, when clearly Zach McEwen is the better player all around in all facets of the game. I mean, he's currently Zach McEwen still top 5 hardest shot in the league. I mean, that's impressive in itself. Meanwhile, again, no knock on Curtis McDermott. He'd knock the lights out of anybody, but he has trouble skating on the ice. So McEwen certainly fits the system. You hope he can recover as fast as possible and get back on the ice and stay healthy, because he is huge for that fourth line. He is exactly what the Devils wanted Nathan Bastian to be, and it's worked out real well for him in such a small sample. So if they could just get him regularly, and let's say, the Devils do acquire a 3C and they have, Cody Glass playing third line and fourth line with Paul Cotter, and Paul Cotter could figure it out. A line of Cotter, Glass, and McEwen, I think that would rock. I think that would really cause headaches for the other side of the ice. So, you really want to see them be able to get him back as soon as possible. You know, Nathan Legare is the call up. And the reason why I think that is because they play similar styles, right? Legare could fly a little bit. He's not afraid to be physical. You saw against that preseason game with the Rangers that you know, he threw down a couple times, right? Dropped the mitts. So Legare has been good in short spurts for the Devils. He's been pretty good for the Utica Comets, and I have liked what I've seen from him in small samples. we'll see, how it looks for him when he plays the Capitals tomorrow. I do think he'll play in Zach McEwen's spot. So, um, if anything, you know, Brown could fill the fourth line role if he is trying to get back into it incrementally. But if anything, maybe you need like a minor move, right? We'll see what happens. But um, you really just want Zach McEwen to get. And it's so funny. We're sitting here talking about a fourth liner when this team is 12-4-1, but he's had such an impact in a small sample that you want him back. I mean, he's really made a difference. And again, I know just 2 games, but you really like what you saw from McEwen. So wishing him the best, and you want to see him back on the ice soon. Um, all right. So other injury notes, maybe Connor Brown will get back between this part of the road trip, and then they return Monday, and then they head back out again. So we'll see if he's not going to play versus the Capitals tomorrow. I know that unless they snuck him in the building, but nobody's told me otherwise. But one of him or Hamilton or both could return in the middle of this road trip. That's at least what I've been told by the Devils. So we will see what happens there. But he's been out since October 31st, so you're going to assume that he's going to need to get acclimated. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to go for an injury or sorry, or a conditioning stint in the AHL, but maybe he'll play fourth line minutes just so that he can get his feet under him. Um, we'll see what happens. I mean, he played he practiced on that November 5th practice right before they played a game at home against who did they play? I'm trying to remember who they played. Regardless of who they played, it looked like he was going to return that next day, and then all of a sudden it was Cody Glass who was returning, and he couldn't even be part of the morning skate. So he's dealing with something. So he's going to be reevaluated when they get back on Monday, and we'll see what happens. Dougie Hamilton continues to be out with an undisclosed injury. I have an inkling he's going to be the one that comes back first before Brown, and he'll be back in the lineup. So they'll get him back soon, I do believe. Evgeny Dadonov and Jonathan Kovacevic have been seen skating, so that's good news. Keith did say Dadonov's not close. That was about a week and a half ago. Not close could be December or it could be January. I will see what happens, but I mean, think about the logjam that this team is going to have now at the winger position, just with how many bodies they have. How many? It's almost like the Nemec situation. It's like, what do you do with Gritsyuk? Like, he's the rookie. Do you sit him out? No, the Devils are not going to sit out Arseny Gritsyuk, and if they do, I'd be shocked. But it's almost like, what do you do with all these wingers? Like, you're in a good way here, and everybody's going to say, oh, trade Andre Palat. And listen, I'm not against it, right? You could trade Andre Palat. It's going to be hard because he has a little bit of say with the 10-team approval list of where he can go. But they do have a lot of good depth options here for the wing, up and down the lineup. The top 12, they have a lot of options here. So, look, that was the point of this summer too, right? The first thing and the one of the only things that Tom Fitzgerald was adamant about this summer was going into it with getting some depth and coming back this year with the ability to plug in anybody on any given night and say we're still going to go out and get 2 points. And so far, they've proven to be able to do so. So we'll see what happens. But Keith said that they're not close on both Dadonov and Kovacevic. So we'll see. I think Kovacevic is probably the longest term. We've been told time and time again that it is probably likely January for him. I'm curious to see if Dadonov will be back before the new year. But we'll stand by for that and figure it out as we go. All right, Sean, we're at the point of the show where let's read some comments. Let's read some things going on in chat. I see a lot of Devils join. I see a lot of Kyle. We have Michael Quinn in here, Chris. So appreciate you guys all coming in and hanging out with us today. Be sure to drop some comments now if you haven't already, just so that we could read them. But first, coming from Devils fan 984, he says, while we are in first place, it doesn't feel like we are dominating teams. How concerned should we be about our current goal differential right now, +8? That's an interesting point. The Devils have certainly looked good. The thing to me is I like that they haven't shown any panic, right? You want to see them step on other teams' necks, like if they go up 2-0 in the first period, and you want to just see them keep continuing to pile it on. I'm not necessarily all that worried yet, though, because or at all. I don't even want to say yet. I have a feeling from what I'm seeing, that this Devils team has the ability to continue to maintain their style of play throughout the season. I'm not worried about the +8 goal differential because I have no worries when I'm in the press box watching how the game is, unfolding, that, oh, they gave up a goal, it's 2-1 now. They're going to unravel and they're going to tie the game, or they're going to unravel and they're going to lose the game, right? I have seen a team that has stuck with it, has said, all right, they've scored a goal against us. They're crawling back here a little bit. Let's just play our game. Let's get back to it. We'll be fine. And ultimately, they have been at least 12 times in the season for those 12 wins. And even if in that overtime loss against the Islanders, I mean, you're impressed with that. You take that point because yes, they had a lead going into the third. The Islanders fought back a little bit, but the Devils push back just as much, right? Like the ice is always going to be tilted a little bit. You're not perfect at work every day. I'm not perfect at work every day, right? So there are going to be those games where, yeah, they're not going to be perfect, but they found a way to at least claw out a point. So right now, I'm not worried about the goal differential. I'm looking at a team who's hanging in tight with some teams who are, even if they're not the best teams in their divisions, there's a lot of parity in the league right now where all these teams are playing well. And yeah, some of these other teams are not playing so well, like the wins against the Lightning and the Panthers don't look as impressive as they were, earlier in the season because of, how they're not playing well now. But I mean, they're still a team full of Gensels and Kucherovs and Evan Rodriguez's and Sam Bennett's and Sergei Bobrovsky's. Like these are still quality NHL teams. So I'm not overly worried. I'm not worried actually at all about this goal differential. I understand the question, but I think that you should have confidence in the Devils being able to finish every night, and even if they don't, be confident that they'll bounce back the following night. So I don't see any too many cold stretches for them. I know that they had one cold stretch on that first road trip. They won 1 out of 4, but again, I think they were trying to figure out themselves. Look, if more injuries pile up, sure, you have a point there, but I think that ultimately they'll be okay moving forward. Thank you for the question, Devils fan 984. Sean, what else we got in chat going on today? Lots of chatter going on in here. Excited to see it. Husky Unchained said something is up with Nico. Seems like he may be playing with an injury. It's a good question. I was talking to my buddy Ryan about this in chat, and Daniel Lamoya in our chat, and I said, yeah, I don't necessarily think he's playing Nico Hischier hockey. I do wonder if there is something going on there. I didn't, looking through some game tape, see anything that I noticed that on a shift where he got hurt or anything like that. But, listen, these guys take bumps and bruises all the time. So certainly, maybe he's got like a bruised rib, something is, hurting him or something like that. I do plan on when the team gets back to on Monday to ask that question. And if I don't, somebody will. But it's certainly on our minds to ask about Nico Hischier's status. But even if he is fighting through something right now, all marks to him for doing so. But I think he looked real good with the new line that he was playing with. I shouldn't say new line, just the Jesper Bratt addition to his line. So yeah, we'll find out more about Nico soon enough. But yeah, it's certainly on our radars for sure. What else we got here? Kyle says, gotta keep Nemec, like I said, for weak trade bait, Nemec over Casey. It's a good point. Yeah, it's a good point. I'm not one to give up on defensemen. Jeff said it best, and I share that philosophy with him. If you didn't hear him earlier in the show, be sure to check out the replay. But I don't give up on defensemen too early. The kid is still 21 years old. And look, I know expectations are high because, you have Cale Makars in the league who come out and just blow everybody else out of the water. I mean, he's so good as a fourth overall pick. He could have been first overall, right? Nemitz was a second overall pick in 2022, and you're like, okay, you want that same kind of production, right? It doesn't work that way, right? Some guys take a little bit more to, develop, and for Nemitz, it's a confidence thing. So what we're seeing now, and you heard Jeff say it earlier, this is the player that they wanted when they drafted him second overall. This is the player that you saw come out of that Czech league where he was putting up these obscene comparables, which had many scouts salivating out of the mouth for this guy that he was the best defenseman in the draft, and he still might be, right? We'll see what happens. I got to remember who's in the 2022 draft. So if somebody's going to clip this and post me and say this guy thinks that Nemec is better than so and so, I don't remember who's in the 2022 draft. So we'll see what happens. But I certainly think that the point being made, Nemec over Casey, is correct. No knock on Seamus Casey. I just think that all around, Nemec is a better defenseman. Long term, he's a top pairing defenseman. I mean, you're going to have a top pairing of Luke Hughes and Simon Nemec for the foreseeable future once they both get to that status, in my opinion. So we will, we'll see how that goes. But I have confidence that that is going to be, you know, a top pair for the Devils for a long time. Sean reminds me that Lane Hudson is in the 2022 NHL draft. So listen, he's not playing so hot right now. Obviously, he won the Calder and he looks great, but yeah, we'll see. I mean, look, they're both going to have long careers, and I do think Nemec's will remain with the Devils at least for a while now, at least through his RFA years. We'll see. But Devils Joint says I clicked one part with Jeff. Hope you don't mind, James. No, not at all. I don't. And listen, if you guys are enjoying this, do me a favor, tweet this link out. Tell people how much you're enjoying this. Invite others to come to the chat. Let's grow this community. Just so that the more of you who are here, the better for everyone, so we can continue to provide you more content. Look, give me a reason to do more shows each week, right? I do one a week, but give me a reason to do more. I would love to provide you more. I just need more resources, and that comes through you guys, the listeners. So if you're enjoying this, please tweet it out. Tell everybody how much you're loving it. Tag us. I'll happy to push it, retweet you guys. And look, I yes, of course, me and Sean, we're doing this for our gain. We love doing this kind of thing for our own purposes, but at the same time, I love being able to provide this fan base something that they haven't had, and that you guys were quite frankly asking for a long time. So real happy to be doing this. And if you're enjoying it, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for supporting. And again, tell your friends, tell others who are Devils fans, like, hey, check this out, this is going on, and it'll be much appreciated. All right, Sean, we got anything else going on in chat here? It's rolling right now. It's a lot of chatter going on. Michael says, do you think they expect a lot more out of I believe that's Hallinan, and has he kind of lost his chance? Um, I think the drawback for Hallinan is that he has decent speed. Like if he plays in a fill-in role like he has been, he's going to be okay. I just don't know that he has the speed to do it on a nightly basis. So I think that's his drawback a little bit. Obviously, the shot is there. You love that shot, and is he going to be put in those positions to score the way he did in the preseason? Probably not. He's not going to play elevated roles like that. But for what his role is, I mean, he grinds real hard. He hits a lot. I mean, he hits a ton. I mean, you saw him drop the gloves, and I forget who he punched in the face and dropped him, but I mean, it was a great fight, and really, like, you saw Jack Hughes on the bench get real excited about it, right? So if he can improve his speed, I don't think he's lost his chance. I think he's the first call up for when they need somebody. Um, in a depth role. But if he wants to solidify himself as a full-time NHLer, it's just that foot speed that he needs to get up a little bit, in my opinion. And a little bit of hockey IQ. Sometimes he can get caught out of position. But overall, I mean, I'm a Brian Hallinan fan because I just love his work ethic and I love what he brings. He just has to get a little bit faster. All right, next one here, Sean. What do we got? If Nemec is playing well until the deadline, is Dougie gone? A lot of people are talking about this right now. I can't wait for the first person, by the way, to clip me going, like I talk with my hands a lot, obviously. I'm Italian. What do you want me, what do you want me to do? But is Dougie gone? Look, in season, I don't see it. I don't. A lot of the conversations I have with others are, that's a contract that you move outside of the season, in the off season. That's a contract that is not easy to move, by the way. It's $9 million. He's got trade protection too. Look, certainly there's going to be buyers for Dougie Hamilton, but in season it's complicated. And look, he's playing so well for the Devils right now. Obviously he's hurt, but I'm loving what I'm seeing from him. So I don't know necessarily that you trade him in season. I don't know if they can. I don't know if they even want to. Is that even something that they're thinking about? I don't think it is. But it's more of a conversation for the off season. So look, the answer to what they do when Pesci, Kovacevic, Hamilton, when they're all healthy and Nemec is still playing as well as he is beyond me. It's a great problem to have, don't get me wrong. But I'm just happy that I'm not going to have to make that decision like Sheldon Keefe is going to have, because and you guys are going to be tweeting at me, Ryan, everybody. Oh, man, Sheldon Keefe has scratched so-and-so. Can you believe it? I can't, right? But it's like, what are you going to do? There's only 6 spots to play, right? So we'll see what happens there. But it's a tough decision, good problem to have. If you ask me, right? And again, it doesn't send a good message, but Nemec's spot was taken from Kovacevic because of how well he played last year. That's how I see this playing out. It's going to be a battle between those two. Yes, Kovacevic just got the contract, but look, yes, Nemec is an RFA, but he's, you know, controlled by this team until he's at least 27 years old. It's 5 more years. He's here for 5 more years unless they trade him. Nobody's taking this guy off their hands. So, it's a good problem to have. We'll see what happens, but ultimately, is Dougie gone by the deadline? I'd be real surprised. I would be real surprised. What else we got here, Sean? Any others? Devil's Joint, Cotter, Glennie, and Nason is a great 4th line. I agree with that. One of the things that I've been a very big advocate for Luke Glendening. He has had some tough games here, but to walk on to a team, look, I think they could have signed him instead of Juho Lammikko. I don't really see the need for Juho Lammikko. I think Glendening probably should have been approached first for a contract. I don't know what those conversations were like over the summer. Maybe they weren't, but he walks on, he wins a contract, and I think he's a very serviceable 4th line center. He's great in the faceoff dot. He's great defensively. His offensive instincts aren't there, but that's not his role. So I really do think that Cotter playing with Nason and Glendening on the 4th line, you're talking about a line that would be very physical. You're talking about a line that's very good on the forecheck. You're talking about a line that's going to make it real hard for the other team to score. So I do like that line for sure. Sean, let's keep it rolling. If we have any others, not sure. He might be talking to me on the back end, but I realize I actually don't have that capability right now, Sean. We have to figure that out in post, but it looks like that's all we have for today. So we're going to wrap it up here, guys. We went an hour. We usually like to go 45, but you guys were great. So thankful for you guys to have shown up to the show and contributed in chat. I love this community that we're building, and I just want to keep this rolling every week. Huge thanks to Jeff for joining us today. Huge thanks to you guys for being here as well. Please smash that subscribe button. Share us with your friends. Share us with your family. Any Devils fans that you know, let them know Devils Rink Report is live every Friday. Would love, like I said, give me a reason to do more shows. Give me a reason to be live more often. I'm happy to be there. I'm here for that. I'm sure Sean would be too. We're really enjoying what we're doing. We're so happy to see the turnout each week. So can't say enough about how thankful we are. Great episode today. Great time in the chat, and really happy to be doing this week in and week out. So tomorrow night, the New Jersey Devils take on the Washington Capitals in Washington. Be sure to stick with me now at Sportsnaut. Still New Jersey hockey now. Make sure you bookmark that tab, New Jersey Devils, because that's going to be me just bringing you your coverage on a new engine. Same great coverage. We're still New Jersey hockey now, but really happy to be with Sportsnaut and their great platform so that we can bring you a cleaner version of what we're doing night in and night out, providing you with written coverage every night, every day. So thank you so much for your support there. Thank you so much for your support here. You guys have been great. Looking forward to next week. We have more guests coming. Next week, another big one. Actually, for the next 2 weeks, we got big guests that are coming on. So we're really excited about those in the future. From Sean, myself, the Devils Rink Report podcast, YouTube show, however you want to call it, we will see you guys next week.